All right, here we are today, everyone. Welcome to our designer show
Hey, everybody.
on this Friday, November 15. Gosh, here it is. It's almost winter already.
Yeah,
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, it is. It is crazy. So we've got on the call today Tom Houghton, who is we were just talking about how he's a Jobtread pro, a builder trend pro, a marketing guy, a pro. I don't know if you're a pro at that stuff, but a techie guy. And we were just asking how many kids you had. And you mentioned was it
3 kids. Yep.
3 kids.
Yep.
And
No.
you are a busy guy. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm honored to be here with you all today. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Excited to have a great show with you all. So
Thank you. Yes, we're thrilled to have you here. So it's a fun topic. It's one of those areas in this construction world that I've always had interest in, but have never really, taken the time to follow through into it because we're busy with chief architect stuff. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Morning, Norman.
Pardon?
Sorry, I had to say hi to Norman.
Oh, hey, Norman.
Yeah,
You guys, let us know where you guys are coming from. So,
and Sims, new member. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Cool.
Way to go, John.
Tom Norman tunes in regularly from New Zealand.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Very good. It's still on the bucket list. I've been to Australia, but we didn't make it to New Zealand. So we got to go back to that area. So yeah, so hopefully I'll have to be stopping by soon, Norman. And it looks like we'll have to talk about fishing as well in your profile picture.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into a little bit here. Tom, where you live? Where you from?
Yeah, so based in Omaha, Nebraska. So I think just due south of you, pretty much there, Dan. And the seasons have started changing here. So it's a little bit cooler outside. The leaves have pretty much all gone off the trees. Still some color around the neighborhood, but yeah.
Yeah, we're talking snow next week, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Winter is a coming.
Yep, for sure.
So Tom and I are good friends. We belong to a group together that internet coaches, not internet coaches, but construction industry coaches, and the things that we do together complement each other. So Tom, thanks for being here again. And so I got a question for you. So what do you call the contractors who's tired of treading water in project management and wants to sail smoothly through their jobs?
An opportunity.
A job treader.
Yeah, I figured you might have gone with that one. But
how's that for a dumb joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John's not here today, so I had to do the dumb joke.
That was pretty pathetic, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, we like to have fun here. So Tom, tell you guys, Renee and Kevin and Judy. Judy is a Jobtread pro yourself, aren't you, Judy?
I don't know if I call myself a pro, but okay. But I have done some work with it and converted a client from co-construct to Jobtread.
Cool.
Very good.
So you had some experience in there. And so I know, and you'll be talking about some of that stuff at the summit coming up here in March.
What would you say is a main difference between co-construct and Jobtread? Because co-construct's been around a long time.
Co-construct? Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, you're the well, just in my experience, Jobtread is so much more intuitive, and it's not nearly as clunky. It's dependable. It works. So
it's nice when technology works.
Yeah.
So
it works.
Yeah. Should be.
So Tom, what's your journey with Jobtread? How did you get to this point?
Yeah. So, well, gosh, how much time do we have here? I'll give you the short
abbreviated version. Okay.
The short story here. Yeah. So I met the Jobtread team probably 3, maybe 4 years ago now. I can't really remember. I know it was kind of probably shortly after post COVID. Actually, it might have. I don't know. Anyway, that's not important. The moral of the story is I met the team there at a convention. I frequently look at new softwares. As Dan mentioned, I work with a ton of different softwares and help construction businesses help them implement them, make sure they're getting their full ROI out of the software. And so I like to look for new opportunities to just meet new teams, see what else is out there. So I met the team and really was taken away with the product right away, just in terms of how quick it is, how quickly it loads. It's really snappy, really easy to kind of navigate around. And so that was kind of how it started a few years ago. And what I was having clients come to me saying, "Hey, we're using Buildertrend. We'd like to move to Jobtread. Can you help us with this transition?" And so got to know the team, got to know the software to help people transition there. So so yeah, that's kind of how things started. And now I've probably helped over 100 companies transition softwares, whether that's from Buildertrend to Jobtread, or co-construct to Buildertrend, or co-construct to Jobtread, what have you. So I know, if you've been around in the construction project management space for a while, you'll know that co-construct was acquired by Buildertrend a few years ago. And so that, obviously causes disruption anytime you have somebody absorbing someone else, right? It causes a little bit of a disruption in the industry. And so that's benefited Buildertrend, and that's benefited Jobtread, and, a handful of other softwares as well. So,
yeah, cool.
Didn't I understand, though, that co-construct is effectively extinct at this point?
correct. Yeah. I mean, there's no more further development plan for it. You can't purchase co-construct anymore. So you have to purchase Buildertrend. But the co-construct users are still getting support through Buildertrend. And so they have an option, obviously, to continue using it for a period of time, or, of course, Buildertrend would like them to come over to their platform.
Yeah.
And so that's caused, again, that disruption that I was talking about. So
Yeah. They acquired. So, what is what is the history of Jobtread? I mean, you met them. How did this get started?
Yeah, so their CEO is Eric Fortenberry. I've gotten to know him and the executive team really well. He actually started Jobtread out of, he created a different software. That software was acquired, much like co-construct. And so then he started Jobtread out of that kind of acquisition. And so he's very familiar with that process of like growing and starting a software and continuing to go from there. And Jobtread really, since its inception, has just been on a exponential growth curve. So they just passed 4,000 clients. They're probably right now, as of today, probably getting closer to like 4,500 clients.
Wow.
And just to give you a perspective, I think earlier, like 6 months ago, they were at 3,000 clients. So, I mean, it's really picking up fast in the industry. And so it's exciting to see, anytime there's new kind of like buzzy software like that, everybody wants to know about it. And so that's why we figured it'd be good to talk about it here. So
cool. And how long has Buildertrend been around compared to Jobtread?
Gosh, 16 years now.
Okay.
Let's see, thinking.
So they had a little bit of a head start.
Just a little bit of a head start there. Yeah. I mean, I would say, Buildertrend at this point is probably an industry known name regarding in like the home building, residential remodel world. I think most everybody has known of and heard of Buildertrend.
Yeah. I know at the Builder Show, they don't shy away from doing a pretty crazy booth.
Yes. Yeah. They usually have the biggest booth there. So,
last show I was at, which was a number of years ago, that was before COVID, actually. They had pulled in a big semi truck and had all these people sitting around it. So pretty crazy. Cool. So Cassidy's committed to it. Hey Cassidy, how you doing? We need to touch base one of these days. Yeah. So give us a bird's eye view of what Jobtread does.
Yeah. So I mean, Jobtread really is meant to help manage your, first and foremost, manage your projects really well. So those can be like for a new home builder, it could be a new home build. For a remodeler, it can be a remodeling project. I've helped pool companies like pool builders, deck builders, roofers, pretty much you name it. If you have a project that you need managed, you can do that inside Jobtread. And so it will track, scheduling, communication, financials. I think I saw Cassidy mention something about the financials there in her message. So really, it's a robust platform that kind of just handles pretty much all aspect of your project management to make sure your jobs run smoothly and efficiently and profitably.
So one of the questions I have about these platforms is, the big push is for everybody to go to QuickBooks Online. Okay. And I use that in my business, and it has really not very good job costing functionality. So is that where Jobtread Jobtread comes into play when you do your financials through there? You could do your job costing through that program.
Absolutely.
'Cause
Yeah.
I know they
So
sync to QuickBooks.
they do. Yep. And they Jobtread will sync with desktop or online. The Jobtread team would tell you that they prefer you to use the online sync just because it's newer technology. It can do more with that. And QuickBooks
Okay.
has really stopped updating the old QuickBooks sync connector. So there's really not any new development happening there. But to your question there, Dan, the goal is that you could do all of your job costing inside Jobtread for your projects, which would then allow you to not necessarily have to reference QuickBooks as often for job related things. You could just do it all inside one place.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Cool. So, the Jobtread company, how's their growth has been? It sounds like it's going crazy. I mean, how big is this company? How many people do we have? What are we talking about doing this?
Yeah. So I think right now, and you'll have to forgive me, I mean, it's probably changing by the daily here.
Yeah.
So I think right now they're probably at 30 plus people. It's a pretty lean operation. They do a very decent job with hiring and making sure they hire the right person. They're looking for the right fit versus necessarily being like, let's just keep hiring for hiring's sake, because they probably have the resources to do that, but they're being, really intentional and strategic with their hires, which is great. And like I said, I've met pretty much everyone on that team, and they know me and I know them pretty well. And they're all fantastic people, all dedicated to helping the construction industry just be better, which is something that I relate to deeply. And I know many of you on this call right now also feel the same way about, there's lots of great people in this industry. We just want to help them do the best that they can do.
Absolutely. So that's why I think this kind of a product is so important. I deal with so many contractors all the time that they're still using scratch pads to manage their business, and it's just like, why?
Yeah,
you got this stuff available now to help you manage your business. So Adam's got a really good question. What's the biggest advantage versus Buildertrend?
It's a great question, Adam. Adam, I don't know if you can respond back if you're still watching this live, and I don't know when that message just came in, but
it just came in.
Tell me, Adam, my answer to this question normally depends on what you do and what you want to do, because they are different softwares, and they both have different strong suits. And I normally say, like, what is it that you want to do with it first? Because that might already segment.
Adam is a fairly large builder. They build some really high-end horse barns for the most part. He does other projects too, but that's one of his specialties.
Good.
And they do a lot of work, so they have a lot of stuff to keep track of.
So I would say the biggest differences between the two softwares are probably let me approach it from a technology standpoint first, because I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I'm going to start there. And Dan and I were talking about this actually yesterday in regards to Chief as well. So Buildertrend is a closed API system, and Jobtread is an open API system. And what that means in layman's speak is one wants to connect to the outside world and everything else, and the other one wants to keep everything inside the little castle moat, if you will.
Yeah, it's like chief architect. They're as long as they do it in house, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And there are pros and cons to both of those models. And so ultimately, it just depends. I would say if you already have existing software, Adam, that you're trying to connect to, Jobtread might have a leg up there because they might already if they don't have one, it's an open API, so you could basically create your own connection, if you will. Buildertrend, on the other side, though, will have, they've already integrated with major CRMs out there and some other bigger players. So those are going to be more of like your established connections, but there won't be as many options just because it's a closed API. They've got to go through a specific process. So there you go. Let's see.
Can I chime in here?
Yeah, please do.
I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Tom, but
you're good.
I just want to share from my experience, because Kevin and I had a design build company, and my background is IT. I worked in IT for 21 years. before we switched to our design build company. But some of the differences that I saw was that Jobtread is so much easier to use than Buildertrend. Buildertrend is very complex. It's for larger size company with lots of employees. It's more expensive. So Jobtread is a little more friendly in terms of costs, especially for a smaller or maybe even mid-sized company. So I don't know if you would agree with that, Tom. Feel free
Yeah.
to disagree.
No, I definitely, like I said, both programs have their advantages. I think what Cassidy, Dan, what you just pulled up on the screen there with Cassidy just said, I hear this all the time. I hear this a lot from CoConstruct users as well, because CoConstruct was very much heavy into this. Buildertrend does have like a product forum where people can go in and kind of give feedback, just like Jobtread does. The difference is one of these companies, Buildertrend in this case, is ginormous. And so that means making changes takes time. And that's just how it works, right? When you get to that size, we're actually seeing that process with Jobtread because they're continuing to grow and scale. As they continue to do this, it's just harder to make changes faster because it impacts so many more people.
Right.
So I love Cassie's comment. I completely agree. I love how responsive they are. I mean, I've had experiences too where something's happened or something wasn't working, maybe not wasn't working, but something would be like, hey, it'd be great if this could happen. And then next thing you know, they're like the next day, hey, we just updated that overnight and, we fixed that or we've added this in here. So it's pretty crazy. And yes, they did just launch a new feature yesterday for receipt capture inside the program. And they're usually, this is one of their strong points too. Anytime there's something new, they do a great job of education behind it. Anna Hunter over there is in charge of kind of all the education of the program, and she is just fantastic and does a fantastic job explaining, making sure it's understandable and clear, that everyone understands the new updates. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Neat product. Let's just jump to the pricing right away. What are the difference in pricing? Because Judy mentioned that.
Yeah. So Jobtread starts off at $199 per month and then charges per user. So it's a user-based pricing model. And so if you have a small team, kind of like what Judy was saying, you have a small team, your cost probably won't be that much. So Adam here is bringing up, what is this? Buildertrend call me once a week. Oh, okay, yeah. So Buildertrend does have an on-site consulting program to help you get going. And I'm sure that's probably what Adam was maybe responding to there.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So just a side note, Adam, that's kind of what I do for my business is I go and consult with folks to help them get, these programs implemented. So
So there's someone from Jobtread that helped Cassidy get transitioned.
Yep.
So apparently they offer that service in their business. And yeah, I know we've talked many times with you about, because you used to not have a life at home because you were on the road all the time.
Correct.
So now you've transitioned into doing a lot less in person and more online. And how is that working for you? Is that been beneficial for everybody?
It is beneficial for everyone because what's great about being in person, of course, is that you can have that camaraderie of like sitting down next to somebody and working through something. And that's great. Nothing replaces that in-person experience. And that's also why, like, Dan, you've got your Total Immersion Summit coming up, which is super exciting. Like getting everybody together. There's nothing quite like that, right?
Right.
The thing that we gain with Zoom is we can gain efficiency. So all of us, we're probably doing other things, and then we can hop on a call like this where it's a video call, and we can take care of business and then go back to our normal day-to-day stuff. So virtually has been great for me. A lot of my client feedback has been fantastic just because one of the things that I do is I help make sure they get in the system as quickly as possible. Because as you know, even with programs like Chief, there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to discover. And if you can have somebody kind of guide you through that, that experience is normally a much more, it's a better experience overall.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. And it puts bread on our tables. So
yeah, true.
It's what we do. We like helping people and teaching them how to get up faster and get running and be more efficient with the softwares that we're talking about.
Exactly.
So, what do you think the growth potential is in Jobtread in the industry? You see unlimited, probably?
Yeah. I mean, so As we've obviously mentioned Buildertrend, they're definitely number one in the space, and they definitely have the most user base. When they bought Co-Construct was the second, had the second
Okay.
most users, and so effectively number one and number two got married, and then that left a huge gap between now what's number one and then number three. And Jobtread really is kind of like snuck up in here into the second place right now.
Well, the advantage is that they became second place immediately.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, by default, right? But they've worked hard to earn it, honestly. I mean, the program is really well done. Like I said, super speedy. And Dan, to your question there about growth curve, I would say if they continue on the pace, next year, I would say they will be, firmly seated in the number 2 spot, and give it a couple years probably. But we're talking about maybe 2, I don't know, 2 on the short end, 3 on the long end of we could be looking like a big rivalry here between the two. So
That's good.
yeah,
It's competition.
it's good. It's good for all of us because we all benefit from this as end users of the products.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Chief Architect doesn't have any competition.
right.
How many CAD programs are there out there?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there's not that many that can do what Chief does. So that's one of
Correct.
the advantages
Yeah.
in our marketplace.
Yeah.
So Tom, we talked a little bit about you showing the program to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
So shall we jump into that a little bit, and you
Yep.
could just kind of give us a tour
Sure
of
thing.
what it looks like and what it can do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually in here in Jobtread on a job that I created here for my good friend Dan.
You haven't shown up yet. Come on, get over.
Yeah.
I've got lots to do.
Yeah. So if I go here to my job dashboard here, this is inside the program, and you'll have to forgive me. I kind of tried to increase the screen size here so that way everybody could kind of see this. Let me just do a quick check. Is everybody seeing that okay?
That looks great.
Font size wise, we're good.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So on a job dashboard, you'll see kind of starting off, right now everything kind of looks empty because we just started with this project here, but this is where you'll come and see like a quick financial summary of your job. We've got some custom fields that we've created over
Is
here.
that all the jobs or just one job?
That's just this
one
job. Yep.
Okay.
Just this job specifically. Great question there, Dan.
But if you have a bunch of jobs, you'll get an overall view of everything.
Correct. Yeah. So I can go back to my jobs list and kind of see over here. You can kind of see on the side, if I scroll over, I can see a sum, average, and min and max of things that are approved or in process. One of my other favorite things to kind of show off here is they have this Kanban view for their jobs. And so this here, I can kind of track, like, so here's a new lead that came in, and I can move this over to the appointment set.
Kanban or
screen here.
Kanban? I've always called it Kanban, but same difference.
Yeah,
Just
tomato.
It's the way you view
I don't
things.
know. Should we take a quick poll from the audience? Should it be Kanban or what were you saying there, Dan?
I call it
Kanban.
Yeah, see, it's like I feel like it's almost like a Midwest accent type thing. Yeah. So so you can go through it. You can you kind of keep track of your jobs in here at a glance, kind of moving the project along. This goes back to like that good project management tool of being able to, whatever stage they're at, I can come in. I mentioned, the speed of the program. So if I start typing in Dan's name here to search for his job, you'll notice it's really quick. If I click into here, boom, it's already open. I can click around. It just loads really, really, really fast.
And it's the same on mobile as it is on your computer, pretty much.
Yep, exactly.
Does it look the same, or is it a lot different on mobile?
Yeah, on mobile, it just scales down. So it's a responsive web app. And so it just scales down to fit the screen. And so it works really well on the go. Yeah. So I just pulled in here into this budget section. So, typically thinking about most people's process, right? A new lead would come in, you'd figure out if you're going to work together. And of course, the question that is on everybody's mind is how much is it going to cost, right? And so we need to do a quick estimate here. So Jobtread's got some great tools to bring in things that you can already build out. So here I can see, like, I've got a plan and permit section with 2 lines here to kind of track cost. I could add some description to the homeowner, like we'll need to ask the city for permits. I guess I'll move that to the next line item down here. That would make more sense to have on that line item. It's a live demo. Here we go. We're going to do it together. So,
Yeah, no, that's cool.
you know, here you could go in and you could give some additional clarity, you know, here, because you'll notice I just mentioned in the description field, you know, some people like to go and give umpteenth degree, and some people like to give a much higher level of degree of detail. And so
Sure.
you can do that here at the program and kind of decide what you want to show and hide. But what's great about this sheet is this works pretty much just like an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So like, for example, under these quantities, like if I just type in like 1 and then hit enter on my keyboard, it just takes me down to the next one here. And so I can just come in and quickly type in my quantities. I'm using my arrow keys on my keyboard to switch over. And so I can add in cost here accordingly.
So I'm sure everybody's thinking, is there a built-in database of costs that can work in
Absolutely.
this program?
Yep. So in here, we've got the catalog. And so the catalog can have all sorts of different things with line items that are already set with pricing. And so you could call those into a new job very
Is
easily.
that something people set up, or does it come set up?
Nope. You have to set it up. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cassidy's got a great comment there. Yeah. If you love Excel, you will love this. So this feature. So not if you, okay, there you go. So this is probably a great point, Cassidy, of like, this is a love-hate thing, right? Some people eat this stuff up for breakfast, and some people are like, I'll stick with my donut. You know, I'm good over here. So, yeah. So,
Good analogy.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a weeds type of question, but it's the kind of thing that gets me because I work on a MacBook on a, you know, effectively a small screen. And I always need to continue to see the name of things no matter which column I'm in. So does it have the ability like Excel does to keep you locked into that, allow me to see the the name field and let me add the quantities in the quantity field?
So the best thing I could do for you, Kevin, really quick there is I could go into full screen mode here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can adjust that. So I got rid of all the other elements in the kind of user interface, so I could just focus on the numbers here.
How'd you do that?
You'll notice if I scroll over now when I'm in full screen, it's got that first column locked.
Yeah, that's what I like.
And so that way I can kind of see that a little bit better there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into that? Oh yeah, there's exit full screen up there at the top now.
Yep. And then to get back in it, this is again kind of what we were talking about, the responsiveness of the app. You know, obviously it's built to be used on a desktop, but it can scale down to really any size screen. And most elements that get scaled down just end up in these 3 dots. So if I click on these 3 dots, I kind of get another sub menu here, if you will, of extra things I can do for this. So
seems very intuitive.
yeah, it's great. One of my favorite features, and I figured this would be kind of like design, you know, important for designers out there who are maybe managing selections. One of my favorite features of Jobtread is you can actually do what I call inline selections. So if I were to, and I'll just go ahead and do this really quick, I'm going to just generate a proposal from what we've created so far, just to show you what this looks like. So we've got this listed here, and you know, some people maybe don't want to show quantity and unit price, and so I can just hide those really quickly. But I've got this structured really nicely, really cleanly for the customer to kind of read through. Well, one of the things we can do to kind of take this to the next level is actually put in selections into this document. And so if we need to have them, like, let's say, select a lighting fixture for their project, we can put that in here. So let me just show you that really quick. And by the way, if anybody watching has any other questions about something they'd like to see or anything like that, obviously don't hesitate to reach out and ask. But
I do have a question. As long as you're on,
Yeah.
you're in the estimate there, can you add text to go along with those main items that you could print a proposal out as, like install a dishwasher and then add a bunch of, you know, a paragraph of how you install it and what parts are needed and what's not happening?
Yep, absolutely. So that would just go in this description section here.
And then you could print out a proposal with that information on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Jobtread is going to want you to keep it all digital, of course, but there is a print option as well.
Right.
So when you're doing that and you're adding that information, is it adding it across all jobs, or is it adding it only for that job, that description field?
The description field is just for this job, but if you've come up with the piece de resistance, Kevin, you could send that to the catalog on a one-off basis. So if you're like, I need to save this for every job going forward because I've nailed it finally. I've been trying so many times, and you finally got it right. You can send that to the catalog. So
now that you've already been interrupted, I've got another question for you.
you're good. Go for it.
Okay, so that is that clearly this is a cool tool and certainly is worth every cent to certain people. But what Judy and I found was it depends on the size of your company and the number of projects that you're doing, where something becomes a reasonable expense or an unreasonable expense. Where's the break point for the smaller company that's doing 5 to 10 jobs versus the garage door company that's doing 300 to 500 jobs?
Yeah. Are you asking more specifically in terms of like spending the monthly expense on the software?
Well, I'm saying that there's a learning curve. There's an effort to come up to speed. There's an integration. There's all those things. Well, you can do that pretty quickly with, as Dan said, a piece of scratch papers and a Big Chief tablet and some crayons. So, so at what point is it a reasonable expense to jump into a tool like this if you really are more of a boutique company, interior designer, an individual, what's the word I'm looking for? Freelancer, things like that.
Yep. I would say, honestly, at the price point that it's at, it really could be and should be used by anyone. When I'm calculating ROI for clients, to your point, Kevin, like there is, time and effort involved in getting it set up. That's where I love the, I just heard this great line the other day. Hang on, I gotta nail this. So I gotta let's see. I have it written down. Yeah, the who, not how. So who, not how. So it's like obviously this has to be set up, and so we're gonna say who's gonna set that up, not tell me how to set this up, because if I can leverage somebody else and pay them to set this up for me, then I can keep running my business as normal. And yes, that's gonna cost me something in the immediate future. But in the long term, you're going to pay, dividend off of that,
Right.
just because of being able to get up and running so much faster in the system. So I guess maybe I hope you feel like I answered my question. I guess I would say from the user base that I know of Jobtread, they're definitely that like mom and pop shop that are using this, where there's 2 people in the account all day long, and there's also on the complete opposite end of this, companies with, 50, 100 plus employees that are doing, like, instead of doing one job a month, they're doing one job every hour kind of a thing. And so that's what's amazing about the software that they've created here, is it scales really, really well. And that's obviously hopefully the point too, is if you want to grow your business, this is a great tool to do that.
I would agree with Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Agree with Tom. It would work great for a 2-person company that did 5 jobs a year, especially when you're thinking about the job costing. I mean, the job costing Jobtread has is amazing. And that's where you're going to put your proposal and your estimate in to begin with. And that's what you're going to job cost against. So it's all right there. There's no double entering. I know Adam mentioned that in his comments. They do that with Buildertrend. Jobtread will feed those to QuickBooks, and QuickBooks will tell Jobtread when the invoices have been paid. But
Wow.
Jobtread's got it all.
They got POs and all that good stuff in there.
Say it again.
Purchase orders. They can do purchase orders, no
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So on the other side of that, okay, Jobtread has that capability. Isn't that wonderful for Jobtread? What about Buildertrend? Do they scale down to the level where they have an advantage or disadvantage once it gets down to a boutique size company?
Yeah. I would say the real ROI in Buildertrend is if you can use the entire platform, because it is such a really wide tool. It has lots of features in it. And so that's kind of also why I was trying to ask Adam the question at the beginning, to get an idea of like, how much is he building? What does he build? Right. Because your point, Kevin, there, if you're doing one job a year, I don't think Buildertrend's the software for you, because you're going to be paying so much to run the software for that. I mean, the job's probably going to run great, but it's just going to be, the cost is going to get in the way of that. I think.
Well, and I'm leading you down this path because I think that a lot of our viewers tend to be smaller companies, more boutique oriented, not
Sure.
large scale companies. And given the nature of construction in general, you may not have 500 jobs a year. It may be more like 5 jobs a year. If you're doing interior design or architectural design, maybe 100, 200. So at some point, I would think that the cost of a mega tool like Buildertrend would be prohibitive as it scales down.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, you're definitely on the right track there. I mean, their target markets are probably slightly different, just because of price point alone. But I think there's also something that Jobtread sees really anybody in the construction industry, whether you're big or small, as an opportunity to help them run their business more efficiently. So, yeah, I mean, what I normally tell my clients is if they're switching from Jobtread or switching from Buildertrend to Jobtread, you'll not only probably save money, but if you use somebody like myself to help you implement it, you're going to, again, the ROI is going to pay for itself in like 2 months, really.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that Adam said was that as an owner, he's hands off. Essentially he writes the check.
Yep.
And the check that, that he specifically noted is $1,000 a month. But what my experience has been, both, Judy talked about coming from the IT world and our experience as a design build company is that $1,000, that's just the down payment. You've got to also pay for the monthly cost of the people who are either being trained or have to learn how to use it or have to continue to learn and all of those things. So the more complex the tool is, the higher that expense is imposed on you.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, to this point here, obviously with a team doing double entry, you're paying more for that than just the $1,000 a month. So I think that means, there's probably potential savings and just more efficiency. Dan probably knows this as well. I'm a big fan of running things more efficiently whenever possible. And so if there's a way that I can free up a team member and use technology to help them do that more efficiently and allow them to do what, their God-given talent to do, more frequently, then that's going to obviously just be more ROI for the company.
Right.
So, yeah. I was going to show you really quick on this document. I was kind of building it out while we were talking there. I mentioned that we could kind of do this inline selection model with lighting here. So you'll remember back to this kind of document that I created. I think we got rid of the quantity in units initially. If I come down here, and sorry for the quick scrolling, just trying to save us some time, you'll notice down here at the bottom, I have this lighting selection in line with the document. So when you present this to the homeowner, you can say, oh, hey, this lighting fixture that you picked out or that we picked out together is going to cost this much. Or, hey, we found this other really cool option and it's this much more to do this. So these can be pre-selected. So like I see right here, I can pre-select this so that way the homeowner sees, oh, it's only $714 more to get this cool light here that I have picked out. And so they can select that, and that ultimately affects their total down at the bottom.
I love that.
Yeah. So really cool feature. I think it shows really well. And, there's been many, many case studies that I've been a part of and aware of that will tell you when you're giving your homeowners and your clients choices like this, they will typically, to the tune of like greater than 50%, choose the more expensive option. And this is, again, something I tell all my clients is because ultimately we're giving the illusion of control is what I call this. And so you've ultimately picked out these options. You've picked out the prices. You as the owner know what the cost is involved in either of these. And so that way I know it's like a safe option for me to present these to the homeowner. Now, of course, the homeowner could go crazy and be like, I don't like either of these two. I want a third option or whatever, right? And so that obviously you need to have checks and balances to keep that under control. But the moral of the story here is that you can traditionally, and again, case studies would prove this, you're going to have a higher percentage job selling cost when you offer things like this, because a homeowner feels safer choosing like a more expensive option because the cost is laid out clearly for them on that. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So show us a couple more features in here, Tom. I mean, we only got a few minutes, so obviously we can't go through everything.
Sure. Yeah. Gosh, I mean, they do daily logs really well. There's a quick action up here for daily logs. So I can just click on a new daily log. This would be if you want to keep track of your project. So I can do some quick notes. I normally teach my clients to do some custom fields in here so I can track a conversation with the homeowner in here. I can let them know who was on site that day. And then I can come back up here and, kind of give a quick recap of what happened
So
on the job site today.
yeah, so you got a journal here of everything that's going on in the job, as long as everybody keeps inputting stuff properly. Now, can you do all your emails through here, all your other correspondence? that
Yeah,
you do
so
during the project?
Yep. So you can message back and forth. And so you can message clients and subs and vendors through this section. They do have a dedicated message section that kind of works like your traditional email. So this is sending out emails. This is not sending out text messages. You can actually kind of see
Oh,
some
yeah.
text message
And
testing that we were
you
doing.
can, send different things to the, homeowner versus your subs, and, see that can all be programmed in, and different people will see different things when they log into the system.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I can also view, they have like a customer portal section. So let's see, I think I put your email in here. So if I
Oh,
added you to this job here really quick, I could preview what you see inside this job. And right now, again, it's kind of blank. Normally we want to spruce it up with some pictures and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, so they have their own portal that they can log into, which is great. And you can see right there in the middle, there's an opportunity for them to kind of like send an email here, subject and message. They can also go to the messages section here and create a new message. So I could just say, hello from Dan. It won't actually let me send this because you'll notice it didn't go anywhere. It's because I can't
Sure.
actually impersonate somebody else in the system.
Sure.
There's checks and balances on that. But communication is great in here.
So
I
now
think Dan and oh, good.
I've just completed a set of plans in Chief. I want to upload them here so that everybody can see them. All of
Yeah.
all of the subs, the owner, or we're gonna have just certain people see them.
Yep. So we just as simple as drag and drop. You can
Okay.
drop the file in here, and you can give it a description or drop it in a specific folder. For now, I'll just drop this out
Nice.
here. What's great is
Can I-
so you have all of that in here, and you also have an annotating tool.
So we can mark up right here, and it'll save it in there.
Yep.
That's cool.
And what's great about these markups is they're non-destructive. So for example, if I call out on my little arrow here, I've got my hello world and my arrow, I'm going to hit save.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've saved those annotations on the PDF. So everybody else who has access to the PDF can see those. I'm going to kind of go about my business, and Jobtread would come back and later on I'd be like, oh, I highlighted the wrong thing. Like the arrow was actually supposed to be the other way. I can open back up my markup. I can go back to my arrow
Oh,
and
nice.
spin it around and or change, the text here accordingly, right?
Oh, wow.
When you send or allow somebody to view that, but specifically send that PDF to somebody and they have the PDF itself in their possession, do they have it in the form that they can modify those comments, or do they have it in a fixed form?
Yeah, if I'm sending this out as a PDF attachment, it'll be locked. If it's another Jobtread user, though, like Kevin, if you sent something to Judy and Judy was in Jobtread, she could go in and adjust those edits as well.
Sure.
That's a good comment. Less clicks on the computer, more time on the fishing rod. That's right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have.
Yeah.
So this question that the statement that Cassidy's making ties back to one in the back of my mind, which is that I can see clearly that your expertise is pretty phenomenal when it comes to the tool itself.
Oh, thanks.
When it comes to somebody trying to come up to speed on the tool, sometimes it takes a lot of training, hand holding, that kind of thing. Is that also a service that you offer?
Absolutely. Yeah. So lots of different ways that I help people. One is just through a monthly program. So coming in, kind of seeing where you're at, and then helping you kind of get along a little bit faster with a roadmap to get you up and running in the system. And so I do that a lot of different ways. Some is just project-based to say, hey, Tom, we really want to implement this. Or like in Cassidy's situation there where she's like, I'm struggling with selections. It's like, okay, let's set up a meeting really quick, kind of see where you're at, and I'll explain how I can help. And that might be helping build something out. That might be help training. Really what I tell people is I'm just here to help. I just want you to have a good experience with this. And so however I can help you with that, more than happy to, and we'll figure out the best way to do it based on kind of your situation.
Nice.
That's great. That's great.
Like it.
Yeah.
So Judy, what was your experience helping, what was the name of the company you helped?
Architectural.
Architectural craftsman.
Of which she's coming to our summit. Yay.
Oh, she is. Good.
Yes.
Good.
Mary, yeah.
My experience with them in terms of
I'm just getting into it and setting it up. Because had you done this before?
no, I hadn't. But I don't know. I felt like with my background in IT, that made it a lot easier for me.
Okay.
So I understood a lot about converting from one software to another and about how to organize the data so that it's more efficient. One thing that I will say about converting from one to another, these companies like Jobtread and Buildertrend, they're gonna convert data that you have. They aren't going to, as far as my experience was, they aren't going to help you clean it up or structure it an efficient way. They're just going to migrate what you have. Because I have 21 years of experience in IT, I was able to clean up a lot of the data that the company had that I was working with and organize the data in a way that it was very efficient, that everything was reused. You didn't have all these extra things that you didn't need that clutters up the system and confuses people.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And probably Tom does that as well, helps people clean up their data rather than just move what you have from one place to another. It's like if you had a giant filing cabinet for the last 10 years, you changed offices and you just moved that whole filing cabinet. Well, I go through and throw away a bunch of it, reorganize it, make it clean and efficient. And it's so much easier for everyone to use. It really cuts down on the training time. Somebody else asked something I was going to mention. Cassidy was asking about the selections. Part of that is about how you do your business. Kevin and I's business, everything was completely custom. A client could go to any store they wanted, pick out their countertops, their tile, their wood floors, whatever. So we did not pre-enter items for selection in our system. We waited until they selected them, then we documented them and had them sign off on them. If you are a company that says, okay, you can pick from these 4 countertops, each of them has 3 colors, those kinds of things you might pre-enter in Jobtread and then allow them to select from them. But so it kind of depends on how you do your business in that case, what you would do in here. And Tom that's what he would consult with you on, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There also is some, I don't want to give away too much information, but there is some exciting updates planned for this part of the program to make it even easier. Judy, to your point about, when it's a one-off, it's hard. Like if I'm adding something to this list, if it's not in my catalog, because, the homeowner just went out and picked this Moen faucet, let's say, I'd have to come in here and create, a new Moen faucet, right? And, put in the details and put in the cost and put in the picture. That's a lot of work. So I do know that the team is working on maybe streamlining that a little bit. That's all I say, because this is live. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but
okay, yeah.
I know that they are working on making this a little bit easier, which is exciting. And that's kind of back to Cassidy's point about, how quickly they are updating things. Like they're, iterating on iterating, and so it's like, this is where it stands today. We should do another live in 3 months, and do that live should just be, here's what's changed in Jobtread. We'd fill an hour worth of that content.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we do that every
I was very, very impressed with Jobtread. And I'm pretty critical of software and the way it's written. Kevin will tell you that too, because of, my 21 years in corporate IT. I've written a lot of code, written a lot of programs, and Some of my pet peeve is to develop something that is way more complicated than what you need.
Yeah.
That irritates me. It's like it didn't need to be that hard to use, and Jobtread is easy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
So what's under the more button?
Under the more
On the
button.
bottom left there.
Where is that?
Bottom
Oh.
left corner. Bottom left corner.
Bottom
The three dots. The three
yeah,
dots.
that's just the menu that's not showing.
Okay.
So
got it.
there's the help desk and my profile. That's
That's
just
just-
because of my screen resolution being so large.
I get it. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So Tom, how can so we got about 10 minutes left here. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your company. How can people get a hold of you if they want some help setting up their Jobtread?
Yeah.
And then tell us about the product that you're creating.
Yeah. So thanks, Dan, for those questions. So obviously, if you're watching this and you'd love to know more or just love to have a chat about technology in general, I always love to do that. You can just reach out via the website, roundpegsolutions.com. So that's the
bring
best
up
way to-
your site quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go here. And then I have a special spot on there for Jobtread implementation on here. So you can come in here and see, kind of what we offer on
Is
here.
correct? Is that the way it's done right there?
Yep,
On the screen?
roundpegsolutions.com,
Cool.
what you see up on the screen. Absolutely. And so, again, because I love to find unique solutions to things. And so I kept hearing the same problem over and over again with Jobtread users, which is, hey, Tom, how do you take this, which is our way of managing our projects, and add some automation to it? Or, like I said a little bit earlier about the messages, Dan, I was saying that, you can, because you had a question about the email and could that just email, and you can, but there's no texting built into Jobtread right now. And so we've actually created a separate program called Loop that actually connects to Jobtread in order for you to automate this process here. Actually, I think maybe if I switch windows here, if that's, am I going to cause an error if I switch windows real fast?
No, go for it.
Okay, let me switch real fast and I can show.
Little techie geeks. If we can't figure it, if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out.
Okay, did that work? I think it's let's see. Dan, are you able to pull that up on your end?
Let's go here.
There we go. Yeah. So this is Loop, and
Got a little noise going on in the background. What is that?
Oh, that may be me. Sorry.
Getting a vacuum
Try to
job.
kill that.
Thank you.
So this here is what I kind of call this, again, the Kanban or Kanban or whatever kind of bon you would like to have in there. It kind of view, and this matches what's in Jobtread a little bit here. So like the new lead, appointment set, etc. And so what we've done is we've connected the two programs together so you can have a lead that's in here or a job effectively that's in Loop.
Here's that OpenAI working away here.
Yep, and have that follow up in here. And then we can bring automation to this. And so that way, when a new lead comes in, we can send them a text message and an email. When we set the appointment, we can do the same thing. And we can keep track of the project status at all times when you're kind of running your project. And also, the other thing I keep hearing is like, hey, Tom, can we do this automatically? Can we do that automatically? We don't have enough time here. I want to be respectful of everybody's time to dive into more of it. But ultimately, with the system that we've created and connecting it to Jobtread, really the hope is that you can take these two softwares and create an amazing customer experience for your customers, which is something I'm really passionate about, is just making sure that homeowners are always in communication, they're staying in touch. And so that way you can keep track of them. So that's really what Loop does.
So your app is a full-blown CRM then?
Correct. Yep.
You able to do like marketing campaigns through that as well?
Yep. Absolutely.
So if you have a monthly newsletter, you could program it into your past clients, or or you have some open leads that you want to send some info to. You could just select all those, select those, and boom.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So, really tried to create, one-stop shop for everything.
Yeah, that's huge, actually. I mean, when you talk about an app that does what you're talking about, I mean, there's a little program out there called Market Sharp right now that does it's a CRM, and you put people in, you can do all these crazy things with it for marketing and job costs. But I don't know if they have project management either. But yeah, I like what you're doing there. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So this would be an additional subscription to the Jobtread.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
So starts at $99 a month.
Okay.
So it's low cost. So that way, the whole goal was, again, it's really to help the industry just be able to handle communication better. And truthfully, the thing I see frequently, because one of the other services that I do is what's called a tech stack analysis. And so we look at all the technology you're using, and people are using Calendly and, all of these other tools to do this. And it's like, hang on. Let's just bring all those tools in one spot for a super low
Nice.
price.
Yeah.
And so that way you have no need for these other softwares. You just have those two kind of anchors, cornerstones in your business to kind of build off of.
That's cool.
So,
yeah, I mean, again, I talk to a lot of contractors that, I say, hey, what do you guys do for marketing? And, most of them, they have on a website and things like that. But, I always encourage them to get more proactive in their, emailing and keeping track of your past clients and getting them set up in a system like you're talking about, so that you could do a biweekly or monthly, whatever type of a communication to your past clients. Keep yourself in front of them somehow. Yep. And this is the perfect tool to be able to do that. Yeah. So from the time the lead comes in till the time the project's finished to afterwards, when you want to continue staying in contact with your past clients, it's all right here.
Yep.
Perfect.
And it keeps track of all those communications, down to the contact level. So I can hop in and kind of see any changes to them at any status in their job. And you can do phone, email, voice, you can do Instagram, DMs. So the other day I set up and I did a post on my own account where I said, hey, DM me the word new. And so if somebody commented or DM'd the word new, it would automatically send out a message through Loop to them.
Okay, cool.
And I didn't have to go in and individually respond. I know you guys talked about AI last week. And so we're using AI. We can use that in the background to send out, so that way it doesn't look like it's the same message, like, great, got your DM, and then sent. The next time I'd be like, hey, awesome, thanks for reaching out. And the next one's got like a high five emoji or something like that. So
let's a couple more things here. So
yeah.
Good friend of mine years ago was talking about co-construct and how when they got it the first year, he figures they collected almost 30,000 in change orders that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, because they were able to track it and keep it in one place and get it approved and get it paid right away. I mean, it's all built into Jobtread too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, that in itself is a really big deal to be able to just keep track of all that stuff and make sure everything's getting paid, as long as people are inputting the information. So you got to train your people to do all of that. Yeah. I've heard too many horror stories about change orders getting missed or not getting paid.
Absolutely.
Cool. So what else would you like everybody to know about Jobtread and what you do, or just in general? Yeah,
I mean, the best way is to get in touch with me. Like I said, you can reach out via the website. Reach out. We'll schedule time to connect, and would love to help you and your business have a much healthier, better, more productive, easier 2025. Using automation, using AIs, using great tools like Loop and Jobtread. And I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form that I can.
Cool.
So.
And again, I look at this from a point of view, people that do design only. They're not doing the whole project. How could this system work for them? Yeah. I mean, would your CRM alone be something that could manage just that?
Absolutely. I mean, for $99 a month, you could handle all of your leads kind of automatically. You know, we have some different plans. One of them includes a voice AI, which we're super excited about. So
Cool.
you can call in, and that way you don't have to be manning the phone. You can stay focused on your design work. And the voice AI will actually, you know, get the lead's name, find out why they're calling, and it can even schedule a time for you to meet with them. And that's handled all through AI,
I have a
not
question.
through, yeah. Go ahead.
One of the things I really hate in Jobtread, and I haven't ever asked you about this. So with the Builder Trend, you upload files, and then you have to download them. Does Jobtread sync like Dropbox with your files?
Currently, no.
Okay.
That's on the roadmap. They've got a feature request for it, like Google Drive integration.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of automations for folks. So if somebody out there is watching this and is like, man, that'd be great to have that, reach out and let's talk, and we can figure out a workaround for it.
Yeah, because that's a big deal. Because we're working on plans all the time, and we're working on them, they work on them, we work on them, they work on them, and to have to upload and download files all the time is a real pain in the butt. So that Dropbox syncing. When I do something, I'm done. I hit done, and then they get the file instantly.
Yeah.
So that'd be a huge thing to have in a system like this.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
But in the meantime, they still do have the file storage. You can keep everything with the project, but you just end up having to download it to work on it. So,
Yep.
not the end of the world, but it's an extra step.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is save clicks so we can do more fishing.
Correct.
So, perfect.
Yep.
Tom, thanks a bunch for being here. I appreciate it. You can hang around when we're done here, but look forward to finding out more about this. Renee, Judy, you got any questions, comments for Tom? Nothing?
No.
Yeah, good presentation, Tom.
Yeah, very
thank
good
you.
presentation.
Thanks.
And thank you for taking the time to be here. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks
it's
for
really nice for our segment to have other industry folks coming from other softwares, and
Yeah, it's all part of the biz. So
It is.
thanks again, Tom. See
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. See you next time.
Bye
Take care.
all.